everybody, Rich Lang with Prep You outside the bunker. So, can you guess what we're talking about today? I guess you probably can. Of course, you probably also saw the title of this video, water. Yep, that's what we're talking about, water. And what we're going to talk about, I know it sounds like a pretty boring, pretty mundane kind of a subject, but there's a lot to it that people don't think about. So what are we going to talk about? Requirements per person, sources of water, types of purification, types of storage, water weight, which is extremely important, container disinfection, storage, and storage in your vehicle. But let me get some of this stuff out of here, so I just feel like I'm inundated with stuff right in front of my face. Anyhow, how you like that? Huh? Pretty cool. Daughter-in-law made this. Pretty awesome. Prep like your life depends on it because it does. And on the bottom, all done by herself. Pretty cool. Anyhow, back to water. Let's talk about water right now. What are requirements for you for water? Well, looking over a bunch of sources and trying to figure out a lot of things. For normal use, and we're just talking normal use, an average person uses about 70 gallons a day. All right, that includes showering, cooking, laundry, gardening, and other uses. You know, for survival, a person probably needs about a gallon of water a day. You know, and per person for drinking from the CDC, FEMA, and the EPA is like a half a gallon for drinking. This is emergency now. Half a gallon for drinking and a half gallon for washing and cooking, because you're still going to cook. You still got to wash the clothes that you're wearing. And tidbit, get yourself some camp suds. That's great to throw in your bag. But they all suggest that you should have about 2 weeks of emergency water available per person. So that's about, obviously 14 gallons of water per person minimum. What are your sources of water when you think about it? I mean, there's all kinds of different things you can get them from. I mean, there's springs and wells and lakes and rivers. The rain, you can collect the rainwater. Pools, there's tap water. Now tap water, just as a sidebar, I like to rotate every 6 months. I've read a lot of things about water, and they recommend about 6 months. And that's per FEMA. There's other sites that say, you can get away with about a year of storage, and that's basically what this is. This is, as you can see, I've marked it. Number 3, we rotate our water. All right. I try to keep 2 gallons of this in the outside refrigerator, so we just keep rotating. And it's gone, in under 6 months. But we also have water in the bunker, and we still have it in boxes, gallon jugs, 6-gallon jugs in boxes, and we cross the date out on it and put the next date on. In the summertime, you can use that for water in the garden, Then there's bottled water. We all know what bottled water is. You got your bottled water like this. You got your canned water. Where's our canned water? I love this. Liquid Death canned water. I've showed you this before. This is really good to have. There's boxed water. Now this one happens to be in plastic, but there's also the type of boxes that you get milk in. You can get boxed water like that. And there is foil pack emergency water, probably the most expensive water you've got, but this is really nice. It's very easy storage. This is 4 fluid ounces. This is emergency water. This isn't water that you take with you every day. This is just for emergency use only. This is the type of water that I like to take with me every day, or put it in a non-plastic bottle, and we'll talk about that later. The foil packs, or the pouches, however you want to call it. It's interesting. The FDA says there is no limit to storage time on bottled water, but it's funny that all bottled water has a date on it. Now you can go with the whole theory that they put a date on it, so you'll drink it by then and get rid of it and buy more, which I can go along with. But you also have to look and see where that water was bottled from, how it was filtered, and check it out on the internet. All the companies have the same. We have one certain manufacturer that we like, and I'm not going to talk about that. But other places you can get water is, don't forget about your water heater in your house. There's 40, 60 gallons and stuff like that. That's why I don't recommend the heaters that heat water as it comes in. You got no storage, you won't have that extra water around. Your toilet tank is clean water. I mean, you're going to filter it, you're going to disinfect it anyhow. You've got ice cubes in your refrigerator that you can use for water if absolutely necessary. That's why I always keep a couple large bags of ice in our garage refrigerator. But those are, just some of the places that you can get water from. If you hear of a water shortage or whatever, or if you're fear of something going down, fill your bathtub up with water. As a fireman, we used to, if we had apartment fires, we would get into one apartment and we would fill the bathtub up, and we would refill our pump cans from those bathtubs. So it's a really nice holding tank for water, so you can do that too. Like I said, tap water is good for about 6 months, or otherwise listed, on the bottles, because let's face it, a lot of this bottled water is just city tap water that they're using and refiltering it in the facility. Some of the treatment, all natural water should be filtered. Some city water should be filtered. Flint, Michigan is a great example. A lot of these older cities still have copper line pipes and stuff like that are degrading and stuff like that. If you're on a well or a spring, it should be tested annually. We used to do that at our cottage. And it's also good to test it just because, like I said before, you don't know how good the distribution system is. You don't know if it's leaching anything into the water. It's always good, peace of mind. It doesn't cost that much to send it out, or buy yourself a parts per million tester. And they start at about $10 and they go up. You can get parts per million. You can get all kinds of testers that test for everything, but it's always good to send it out to a company. Purification. There's all kinds of ways to purify your water, or filter it out. Bleach is the number one thing that everybody talks about. Clorox bleach. I had questioned some things about water. I wasn't sure about how long once you open a container of bleach it's good for. So I sent a message to Clorox bleach, and Tiffany responded to my question of, does the disinfecting strength of bleach have a shelf life once the bottle is opened? Well, Tiffany said, well, thank you for taking the time to contact us. Clorox bleach has a shelf life of 1 year past manufacturer's date, opened or unopened. Once the bleach has reached this time, we cannot guarantee that it will still disinfect, but it's still okay to use as long as it is bleaching. I hope that helps. Feel free to reach out to us anytime. Tiffany, thank you, Clorox customer service. So basically, you can probably use bleach forever if you're going to use it for your clothes, but if you're disinfecting 1 year after manufacturer's date, opened or unopened. So you'll find the date on the bottle, obviously, all the bottle has it. Tabs and drops. We use these. I went to Philmont. All hikers and campers should always carry these with them. They're just little tabs. Catadine makes these. We have found these are the best when we go camping and everything. There's a date on here. It's imprinted on the side, and of course I can't read it right now, but it's there, and it's just a tab that goes in your water bottle. Whatever kind, be it Nalgene or Hydro Flask. But here's the thing you have to remember. All right, you fill it up with your water. You drop your tab in. It sits for half hour. Before you drink, turn it upside down. Crack it so the water comes up through the threads, because the water that you have when you fill it up is still stuck around the threads and in the cap. You've got to flush that water out and flush the disinfected water through, so you won't get sick. It doesn't take much water, bad water, to get you sick. So don't forget that if you're camping, hiking, whatever, and you're using tabs, flush it out. All right. Yeah, so you've got tabs and drops. You got different types of filtration. Boiling, if you're going to boil your water, after it's sat and cooled off and you put it in a flask, shake it up. All right, get some air back into it, because it just tastes kind of funny after you've boiled it. Get some air back into your boiled water. There's UV systems you can buy. You know, it's very easy to use those. Our pond has that, and man, ever since we got the UV system for our pond, I haven't had any problems last 2 years with that system. So I know if it's working in the pond with all the fish and birds and geese that come by, I know that it's going to work great for filtering water. There's also, depending on how much you want to spend, there's a reverse osmosis. There's all kinds of filtration or purification. So what kills the microbes? Well, boiling, chlorination, and distillation will kill the microbes. Filtration will not. So you've also got stuff like this. These are personal water filters. I have them in all my bags. It's always good to have. You can suck water out of a mud puddle with them. Reduces up to 99.9999% of bacteria and 99.99% of photozonian cysts. Removes particles as small as 1 UM. BPA free materials. That's another thing. Take a look at it. For some of you older guys like me, you may have a lot of older water bottles and stuff like that, and they are not PBA free. And basically that comes into effect because it leaches chemicals into your water, especially in hot weather. We'll talk about that later too, but even if you're backpacking and you got it hanging from your backpack and you're walking around and the sun's beating down on that chemical being in your plastic, it will still leach into your water, and over a long time it's not good. Just get rid of those, go with something new. I mean, the hydro flasks are great. My daughter swears by these. As a matter of fact, she got this for me for Christmas one year, and obviously the Zach is great for keeping water or coffee or whatever you want in it. So filtration and distillation removes heavy metals, salts, and most of the chemicals. Boiling and chlorination will not do that. So a really good example, and I've got a note here somewhere. Yeah, have you ever heard of a solar still? Yeah, there's a show on TV. I think it's on Discovery. It's called Homestead Rescue. If you haven't seen it, it's kind of an interesting show, a little corny at times, but they have got some great life hacks, like great survival and prep hacks on there. And one of the things was a solar still, where you actually build a system where the sun can shine down onto water that you've got sitting there, and it doesn't matter what's in the water, but it heats it up. Steam comes up, it hits these glass doors that are at an angle, runs down these doors, and actually ran into a gutter that they had cleaned out. And over time, you know, that fills up with water. So I'm going to show you this summer, when it warms up a little bit, how to make a solar still if you're out in the desert, and how you can get water from vegetation and next to nothing, or even peeing in there. You know, you'll get some, you know, clean water. But check out Homestead Rescue. It's pretty cool. They had solar stills. They showed a really large one, and this summer we'll show you one also. That's purification. Storage. All right. Obviously, there's all kinds of storage. I mean, you've got plastic bottles, 16 ounces and up, or 8 ounces and up, I should say. Plastic gallons, up to 5-gallon totes. Water bricks. If you don't know what a water brick, take a look at it. DuckDuckGo it on your favorite device, and look up water bricks. They're pretty cool. They're a little expensive, but they're really nice to have. and they're very safe, especially if you're storing anything in plastic. Should be stored in a cool, dark, dry location. Okay, so the sunlight isn't beating on it, and it isn't heating up or whatever. I mean, you can get plastic storage tanks up to 300 gallons. You know, obviously that's going to be to set up in good heavy metal racks with a draw system with piping and stuff like that. And that should also go through a filtration system, because that's a lot of water to be, you know, storing. Where you're getting it from, especially if you're out homesteading or whatever. Again, make sure your plastic is PBA free and food grade. All right. When we talk about food grade, we're talking about plastics. Plastic number 1 which is PETE. Number 2 is HDPE, or number 4 is LDPE. That's definitely, you know, for you know, drinking purposes. Can also get above ground storage and below storage. Again, the above ground storage, you got to worry about you know, it heating up, and you're going to want to filter or distill that. You know, some kind of a pump, you know, filtration pump system would be necessary for that, you know, or unless you're going to boil it all the time. And water bladders are nice. You know, they don't take much room when they're empty, or as they empty, they start at 30 gallons and go up from there. You know, some of the questions you're going to have to ask yourself when you talk about how you're going to store this, you know, is it everyday use? Is it long-term use? Do you need it, you know, on a homestead or a bug-out location or your home or whatever? You know, is it just for you, the whole family? You know, how many people are there? How much room do you have for water storage, and how are you going to store that water? You know, are you going to need to transport that water? Very big question, because water weight, 1 gallon of water weighs 8.3 pounds. Okay, doesn't sound like a lot, you know. So you got a gallon of water, less than 10 pounds, no big deal. Now you're taking water with you, 5 gallons, 44 pounds. 15 gallons of water, 133 pounds. 30 gallons of water, 264 pounds. 55 gallons of water, 484 pounds, and that does not include the container weight. So you have to think about what you're going to do. That's why stuff like tabs and filters, you know, and another good filter to have with you to get the heavy particles out of it is just a coffee filter. Throw some of these in your backpack. You know, that's always nice to have. But so think about that. You're not going to carry all the water you need. You're going to have things that are going to get you through. A whole bunch of these in there. I mean, it still weighs the same amount, but it takes up maybe a little bit less space than a whole bunch of these. I don't know. These are nice. Cans could come in handy down the road for cooking in. And when you buy the containers, don't forget, and that's any container, it has to be disinfected upon receiving it and before use. And how do you do that? Obviously, you're just going to wash and rinse the container, then rinse with bleach solution of 1 tablespoon per quart of water. Pour mixture into the container, shake or roll until insides are covered with the mixture. Large containers, it might be a little bit harder to do, but you know, let that sit for 30 seconds, pour out and let air dry. Okay, don't wipe it out, let it air dry. Add clean water and cover tightly with lid. And there you go. You know, especially 55-gallon drums before you set them up, you know, you can do that with the solution and roll it around in there and everything like that. I mean, that little of bleach is going to kill everything, but it's not going to do anything to your water. I mean, there's you know, all our water is chlorinated in the city anyhow. So obviously you don't want to store containers directly on the concrete. You want to keep your containers tightly sealed. Always use new, clean, food-grade plastic containers, and use an opaque or translucent container out of the direct sunlight and keep from freezing. Very important, because if your piping freezes, all the water in the world isn't going to do you any good. All right. So what started this whole video was someone asking me a question about, or we were discussing water storage in your vehicle. Sounds easy, just to grab a bunch of these and throw them in a bag and throw them in your car. Well, there's a couple problems with that, which we'll get to. But why do you need water in your car? Here's several reasons. For bugging out, long car rides, have with you for hiking and camping, medical emergencies, radiator emergencies, or what if you get stranded and you get thirsty? You know, it's kind of important to have that. Hot temperatures. All right, in 2014, there was a study that found chemicals leached into water in plastic bottles like BPA and antimony from the bottles just being in your car for up to a week. It just, you know, this getting super hot, the chemicals leached into the water, then you drank it. So you fast forward to 2019, and obviously most bottled water companies are now using BPA-free bottles, but other chemicals are still there, like the antimony and a few other ones. That's why they have suggested going to canned water, okay? And boxed water is another one to do. Like I said, this one is plastic, I know. But this is a plant-based plastic too, you know, which is really nice. And it's got a Best By date on it, and you can recycle that too, which is nice. But I have gone to, and many people have gone to, canned water. As you can see, I have them in really nice little containers. I do not put these in my car in the winter time. These are like this, and they're by my back door, so if I know I'm going on a trip or whether I can pull those and take them with and do a few things with them. So you want to use non-plastic. Also, again, non-plastic, because let's face it, just sitting in your car for a short period of time, this will keep it safer. You're going to be in there for 2 or 3 days, and it gets pretty hot in the car. You can also have these in there for emergency. I've had these in very hot cars, very cold cars. It takes a long time. These will warm up, obviously, but it takes a long time for these to freeze. That was also mentioned to me by a subscriber. Dang it, I can't remember his handle, but thank you. You know who you are. Thank you for that. It will cost a little bit more, but it's a lot safer for you. You know, you can keep these in your house and in your garage refrigerator or in your lunch bag, and that's fine. It's not going to hurt you. But you know what? Save the plastic. Use these anyhow, or these. Storing water in a cold environment. Remember, water starts to freeze at about 37 degrees. I don't know if you ever noticed that. I lived on a lake for a long time, and we noticed that you used to get some movement in the water, some opaqueness to the water at about 37 degrees. And that's when it starts to freeze. A lot of people think it's 32, but it's not. That's not 32. In cold weather, even in hot weather, you could pack these in a cooler. It's going to take longer for them to get hot or freeze inside of a cooler. And then inside the cooler, you could put, you know, ice. Obviously, you know, it's always nice to have, but it melts. But you can, you know, store your water in the cooler. You know, put some blankets in there, or old sleeping pads, a jacket, hats, scarves. Wrap it around there. It'll stay warmer longer in the winter and cooler in the summertime. So there's ways to pack it to do that. You know, in the cold weather, if you're going to have a container like this or this, don't fill it all the way in case it does freeze. So there's some room in there. Same thing, or any kind of container, don't fill it up all the way, give it some room. Also, pack some kind of a heating device if your water starts to get really cold. I mean, in the cold weather, you don't want to be drinking super cold water. You obviously don't want to be eating snow. That's the worst thing you can do in cold weather to try to stay warm, which our prepping tip of the week coming up is about using snow as a survival water tool. Where to store your water? You know, trunks and hatchbacks. It keeps seats open for other people and pets and stuff like that. Your trunk actually is cooler than your car in the summertime because there's no windows for the sun to break through. In the trunk or in the hatchback behind, your water also doesn't become a projectile. If you get in an accident, do you know how fast this is coming at the back of your head? It's coming really fast, and as a fireman, I saw a lot of injuries from stuff flying around the inside of a car. In the winter, the cabin, obviously, where you're sitting will stay warmer in that point because of the heat. And, you know, if you get in an emergency and you can't get out of your car, it's obviously accessible, except that most cars today you can access the trunk through the back seat, believe it or not. Check your car out. It's amazing. I know our cars, it does. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you keep water in your go bag, your carry bag, and your bug out bag. Watch your dates on them. They all have dates. Every single one have dates. You know, I know people say, oh, those dates, it's just to sell more water. Yeah, but why take a chance? You know, just switch it out. Drink it. You know, just drink it, you know, or put it in your plants. And like I said before, I have a separate water bag that you grab. I mean, these little bags like this. You can also get a small backpack or a small cooler, fill it up, and just grab that when you're going to go on a long trip. Anything more than a half hour or an hour away, you should always have extra water in the car for you. And use canned and foil packed water when you can. Stay away from these. All right, they freeze quick and they heat up really quick, and there's nasty chemicals. And always pack, you know, personal water filters with. I have them in the cars, in the car bags and stuff like that. So that's really water. Personal preference, is up to you what you want to do, how you want to do the water and everything. But some good suggestions here. I thank some of our subscribers for coming up with some of the questions that I had on one of my water videos. So there you go. This is Rich with Prep You. I want to thank all you subscribers. If you're not subscribing, please subscribe. We do appreciate that. And like we always say when we end, always be aware of your surroundings. Always have at least 72 hours of food available, ready to bug out or get out of Dodge as fast as you can, evacuate I should say. Have 30 days, 60 days, 90 days of food available to shelter in place, because let's face it, you have a 99% chance you're going to shelter in place and a 1% chance that you have to leave, unless you live in hurricane areas, and you probably have a greater chance that you might have to leave. And prep like your life depends on it, because let's face it, prepping will save your life. Thanks a lot. Take care. See you next time.